I speak now to Rob Geist Pinfold, who's a lecturer in international security at King's College London. Thank you for joining us on the programme, Rob. Since the ceasefire 2 weeks ago, as I put to Noor, we've seen a steady stream of US diplomats in and out of Israel. What do you think is really going on behind the scenes? Are we actually moving any closer to phase 2 of this plan? Or are the Americans still just focusing on keeping the ceasefire from falling apart?
I think they're trying to do both, Malene. What we're seeing here is the US trying to continue to throw its weight behind the plan. Now, many observers said, look, the US is a global superpower. Trump is renowned for having a very, very short attention span. What will happen when he focuses his attention elsewhere? Will Israel then use that as an opportunity to break the ceasefire? And so what we're seeing at the moment with all of these visits in Israel, they're being called BB-sitting, basically a play on Netanyahu's nickname. But the implication here is clear that all of these US officials are coming again and again to Israel to try and enforce the message that the Trump administration has not taken its eye off the ball. It's still laser focused on what's going on, and it wants to move to stage 2 whilst upholding the ceasefire. So whilst in public, Israeli and American leaders are doing the usual things of saying very, very positive things about each other, it's fair to assume that in private we'll be hearing much more critical tones from the American officials against the Israelis, basically a warning that the US is still watching and the US will not take lightly or kindly to any breaches of the ceasefire. And furthermore, the US expects Israel to be on board to get everyone to phase 2.
Rob, let's talk about this proposed international security force, which is meant to be deployed in Gaza as part of phase 2. It's still not clear, is it, who exactly will make up this force? We've heard names of countries like Indonesia, Turkey, and Egypt mentioned. Who do you think is most likely to be involved? And what do you expect the mandate of this force to be?
Well, nothing is clear about this force at the moment, Malene. As you say, we don't know who will comprise the force. We don't know when it will go in. We don't know what its mandate will be. Now, in those US officials, in the speeches by those US officials, when they went to Kiryat Gat, where the US is setting up its civil military coordination center, we saw plenty of flags of participating countries. We did not see a single flag from an Arab country. And I think that's important to note, because one of the original perceived strengths of this plan was the fact that regional leaders from Turkey and from the Gulf states and other Arab countries like Egypt and Jordan gave this plan their full-throated backing. But at the moment, we're not seeing that enthusiasm to commit to boots on the ground.
Right,
and with good reason, because...
Apologies.
Sorry,
on that point of Turkey, because it was interesting, we heard Rubio evade a question on whether Israel has already said that it won't allow Turkish troops on the ground. Do you think it's concerning that Israel seems to have this veto, if you like, of which countries can participate in this force, while the Palestinians, meanwhile, don't appear to have a voice at all?
Well, unfortunately, it's par for the course here, whereas you say the US positions itself as a mediator, but the US is not a neutral party here. It clearly favors Israel. It has an entrenched and deep and indeed a special relationship with Israel, which it does not have with the Palestinians, which is why Netanyahu gets to apparently veto which foreign troops will provide those boots on the ground. But it's not just Israel's veto here, it's Israel's actions. The Arab states and other regional states like Turkey have said, we will continue throwing our weight behind this deal, but we will not and do not want to take over from Israel in Gaza. We want to empower and train a Palestinian security force before we withdraw. And then there's the issue of Hamas as well. Understandably so, these countries are saying, we don't want to be Israel's policemen. We don't want to be the ones who are supposedly forced into disarming Hamas and taking the fight to Hamas in Gaza. Israel tried that for 2 years. They failed. They left Gaza in ruins. So the Arab states are saying, we will have a role in this, but there has to be tangible steps towards A, our withdrawal, and B, the establishment of a Palestinian state. And Israel has blocked that in the past, and it will continue to block that in the future, certainly under Benjamin Netanyahu.
Rob, very, very briefly, you talked about the issue of Hamas disarming. Do you think we could see some kind of interim government in Gaza, even if Hamas still retains its weapons?
There's no reason why not. And there's all sorts of compromises here as well. Hamas could, for example, agree to give up its heavy weapons, things like its long-range rockets and mortars, whilst keeping its small arms. The issue here will be Israel. Netanyahu has campaigned on total victory, the total destruction and disarmament of Hamas, which will mean that Israel will drag their feet all the way. Disarming Hamas at this stage is not achievable, and it's not likely. The group will be basically committing institutional suicide and giving up something which it won't be able to get back in the future to use as leverage against Israel. So if we are going to see any disarmament of Hamas, it's likely to be some kind of a compromise solution rather than the wholesale disarmament of the group. OK,
Rob, really good to talk to you. Rob Geist Pinfold, lecturer in international security at King's College, London.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news, expert insight. Like, share, stay ahead.